All right, guys, let's have the Simons conversation. I'm not going to say a thing. Go.
Me neither. You guys go. We already talked about it.
It's really tough. I don't know what they can do. You got a solution, Noah?
Do we have a problem?
Hot potato, hot potato.
What's can we be
The
more
problem is
Okay, the problem
fine.
is
all right, fine. We'll talk.
Okay, we'll
We
do it.
tried.
I mean, I'm you guys said the Simons thing, and then Bobby's like, "What's your solution?" I don't know what we're talking about.
The Simons thing is every time he goes in, he goes nuclear and scores a zillion points, and then something happens and he gets taken out of a game, whether it's a mistake he made or Joe just saying like, "All right, I'm done with you. I'm going with the guys I like and trust." Mazzulla's commentary about him after the game is still talking about him like, "I need him to be more. I need him to be more." What are we missing here? What is Simons doing that doesn't have Joe's trust? What happens in a game where Simons is your entire offense and leads you to a 9-point lead or an 8-point lead or whatever it is, and the second he comes out, everything goes tanks again. You lose the lead in like 2 minutes, and then after the game, before the game at the shoot around, you guys are there. You're asking him, and he's like, "I don't know. It's a battle. I'm trying to figure it out." Joe's talking about him being aggressive, and I left him in because I thought he played good tonight, but some nights not. What's going on here? Like he's in a weird place. You know, Sherrod very simply put it. He's definitely not in Joe's circle of trust, but it's hard to fathom. You know what's going on there with him.
That's the way to describe it. I think that's perfect way to describe it.
But I want you guys to describe it.
That's the show. So, all right, see you, everybody.
Because you're okay. There. You're talking to these guys.
Here's the thing. Simons has been incredibly efficient. Like he's one of the top catch and shoot shooters in the NBA right now. I saw a graphic. Hopefully that was an accurate graphic I saw on Twitter this morning. He has been a great instant source of offense, and he's now had multiple times this season where he single-handedly cuts the deficit or pushes the Celtics ahead. And like I think microwave score. I mean, that's literally the best way to describe what we're seeing with him, where in a 3-minute period, he'll score 12 points and completely kind of turn the trajectory of the game. And that's a valuable thing. And especially with this team, they've been one of the worst offenses all season by total points and some other metrics, passing, assists, whatever. That being said, and again, I know everybody here thinks I have a Pritchard agenda. I don't. I have high aspirations for him, but whatever. But my point is, if you watch him on the defensive end, and I really don't like singling out players, but I do rewatch all these games, and I particularly rewatch these games for specific things. He's being hunted on every single defensive possession, and I think he's trying really hard, and I think he's getting better, but he's a massive liability on that end. He still is. And when you go back and rewatch the Orlando game, throughout his heater, I rewatched it today, throughout his heater where he scored 25 points in one half, he was getting torched on the other end. Like he just was. And that's not, and I don't like calling guys out for their own, individual thing like this, but that's what I'm seeing when I'm watching the game. And so I'm assuming that's what Joe's seeing. Maybe he's seeing something different. Maybe it's not as specific as that, but I think that's the tug of war between we have a gifted scorer here, but we have a guy who's also a liability defensively that for years now, his defensive metrics have indicated that. And when we've talked to him about it, like it's something that he's getting at. And I think that in a few months, like he might be in a better place. And should they just play through it because of what he can give you offensively? I don't know. Maybe they should. I wouldn't be shocked if Joe tries him in the starting lineup. I wouldn't be shocked if he plays more minutes in a few months, or they kind of figure they try to change something up. But I don't think there's really much of a mystery here. I don't think Joe hates him or he has a bias against him. I think it's just that, like, how much are you willing to give up on the defensive end with his size? He doesn't have like a strong base. So a lot of times he has to foul when there's mismatches. And so if they get a bigger guy on him, there's been a lot of and ones. There's been a lot of just fouls in general. And it's just a hard thing for the other teams are just completely going at him every time down the court. And that's the trade. And he might be a gifted enough scorer where it doesn't matter. There's lots of guys. Steph Curry, right, is a guy that teams go at, and it doesn't matter, right? But I think right now that's the discussion that Joe is probably having internally.
Is it fair? I mean, again, it's like I don't know. That's what I don't get is it's you're playing guys who give you nothing offensively because it feels like it's really a choice. You ride out like you're better with him on the floor tonight. You were better with him on the floor. You're better with him on the floor last game. a couple of games ago, we said, hey, they were better on the floor with Walsh and with Ugo, and so they wrote it out because we're not worried about offense or defense. We're worried about results. Is what's
He was a team
happening
high
right
plus
now,
12 tonight.
yeah, is what's happening on the court now good? Okay, so the other night, the energy that Ugo and Walsh brought was good, but they're not giving you offense. They're just giving you defense. Is anybody saying, like, I can't play those guys because offensively they're not good enough? No, we're only lauding their
It's a
defensive
little different
effort.
though, but it's different, John.
It
like-
is a little different, but again, it's like it was still a hot hand. You were getting results from that combination. When Simons was on the floor tonight, you were getting results from having him on the floor, not from the team, specifically from him carrying the team offensively. It was valuable. And then you're like, I'm good with this now. I'm going to go to my defensive lineup. And it cost you. So, like, it's why are we always focused on what a guy can't do when their primary skill is offense, where we're less focused on what a guy can't do when their primary skill is defense and rebounding?
Because I think you can hide on offense in a way where you can't hide on defense. Ugo can.
You
be
can't
on the
hide
court.
on offense when the team scores 30 points in the half. You know what I mean?
That was not. I don't think that's because of.
Not because of him, but what I'm saying is it's
I mean,
indicative of a team that can't score as,
Right, 'cause
as
they can
regularly
focus
as they
on-
can. Yeah.
If you're able to cheat and
I'm-
focus on Brown and White because you've got Ugo and Walsh out there and Kada, that's a problem. Now,
Yeah.
I'm never going to question
Sorry,
Noah because her basketball IQ is like 100x minus. But correct me if I'm wrong. The Celtics took Simons out of the game in the fourth quarter, and immediately Philly went on like a 10-0 run or something close. Completely retook the lead. Kind of took the momentum back from that game. That had nothing to do with Simons being out there in the court. And then I also believe in the last few possessions, Simons went back into the game late. Wasn't it Walsh on Maxey late in that game with Simons out on the court? With Simons out there as well, wasn't he? So they're not always hunting Simons. They're just not. Like, there's ways for Simons to be in these games in situations where offense is needed and for him to not be a complete liability defensively.
And we see guys get.
And by the way, real quick,
cold.
real quick, shame on the Celtics if it's that easy for them to, negate Simons. If the opponent can just get Simons out of the game that easy, Mazzulla's got to figure out a way to make that not be a problem.
This is your bag, and this is what you like to do. There's no better place to do it than
It's
Prize
your bag,
Picks.
baby.
Get in on it now. The excitement for this season, again, whatever sports you're into, doesn't have to just be one. You can mix and match sports. Pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You get those picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks also offers injury reboots. One of your players leaves the game in the first half, doesn't return. It's not a loss. Flex play, absolutely. Cash out if your lineup is not perfect. Free squares or easy squares to hit, or reduced numbers on squares that you can insert into your lineup and make it easier for that lineup to hit and for you to cash in. So again, the offer, you see it, download the app right there, code CLNS 50 in your lineups. Once
Marshawn Lynch.
5. Yep. Once again, I'm just here to not get fined. 50 in your lineups when you play 5 Prize Picks. Right. I mean,
that means
every team. That's what I don't get is we're a little bit stuck in what the Celtics were. And the Celtics were a team where everybody could play off it, could defend and score and shoot. They're not that. So you're going to pick. Every team in the NBA has 1 to 2 defensive liabilities on the court at all times. It's just how gifted are they at the other aspects of the game? He's a very gifted scorer. It's really bizarre that the standard here to play for the Celtics is that you can't defend, you can't play. I don't know that that's the mentality in every other market or every other city. Everybody's got, it's not just Steph or Trae Young. Everybody's got guys where you're like, this guy can't defend. And Maxey. I mean, there's plenty of guys where you're like, this guy, I can hunt this guy all day. The Celtics made a living every single night on hunting somebody in the opposing starting lineup. Some teams would have 2 defensive liabilities out there. It's baffling to me that Simons on this team can't play based on offense alone, and we're only going to fixate on the fact that he's not great at defense. That's what I don't understand. I feel like it's everywhere. So
Yeah,
Noah,
and
go ahead.
they
You were.
Are you talking
I had
about?
jumped in on Noah. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I mean, listen, he played 26 minutes tonight. I think people probably would have wanted to see him play 5 more minutes. Like, is that what we're talking about?
It was when they took him out, not that they took him out.
Like the fourth quarter minutes in particular.
Yeah, I would say so. And that's what stands out tonight, I think.
You know, I mean, Brunson's another example. I mean, there's every team has these guys, you know?
Yeah, their problem down the stretch to me is
game where this has happened either. Sorry, Bobby.
their problem to me is that they were going back and forth down the stretch. Like, you do have to pick a lane in the last 5-6 minutes of a game and stick with it. Like, they threw him out there with 2 minutes left in a tough situation after he had sat for 4 minutes after they tried to go back to Pritchard in that situation. So that was what I was trying to get a feel for, you know, with Joe after the game, is like why they were going back and forth between those two a little bit. Like, tonight it got to a point, and I know like maybe this is magnified because we've been talking about it so much and it's become such a conversation, but in the first half, they put him out there alone. And you mentioned this, John, without Brown, without White, just to go and shoot and run plays and do everything by himself with that bench unit, which, as we've mentioned, has really struggled because there just isn't a ton of offensive depth on this team. So he was in a tough position where he was just taking tough shots, missing over and over again. It was a difficult stretch. And, you know, there were some passes in this game that looked good from him. There was the stretch in the second half you mentioned there where he takes over. And I do feel like, regardless of whatever mistake or two that he makes there, you do have to ride that in a game like this where he's plus 12, where the game's swinging in your direction. My problem isn't that he's being tough on the defense. My problem isn't that he's a 3 behind Pritchard and White. Like, I think that's where he deserves to be. That's where I've, you know, said that they should be with the rotation since training camp. Because I think Pritchard and White on the whole have just played better than him this year. But
why is Pritchard playing better than him this year?
Because he's got a ridiculous assist to turnover ratio. The defense has been better. The 2-point shooting's been like out of this world. Like, he, on the whole, has been better than Simons. But in a situation like this, if he is playing better down the stretch, the rationale, and I'm not saying this is the rationale from Joe, but I do think he's gone to this mindset before, is White's been here, Pritchard's been here. We know who these guys are. We know what they do. Let's just go with them. And I don't know, no, you might, I don't know if you agree or disagree there, but I do think that's a significant deciding factor in how they're using those 3 guys. They know White, they know Pritchard, they trust those 2 guys. There isn't the trust and knowledge in what Simons is going to do possession to possession here. Fair or not, that's just how Joe feels.
Okay. That's it. She's speechless.
Oh, is this? Was I supposed to respond? I mean, I listen. I said my part. I think Simons is a very talented scorer. I think that he has made progress on the defensive end, but I was mostly responding to the like, what's the mystery here with him? Like, I don't think there's really much of a mystery. I think that's the trade-off. And
but I'm asking, like, should there be some trade-off possible between him and Pritchard?
Yeah, and I think that you saw that in the fourth quarter. Like, I think they were going back and forth. Like, you know, should he have played the 6 minutes more than Pritchard played? Should it have been 31-26? I don't know. I guess just that's not really how my brain thinks about these things. Like, maybe that would have helped them. Maybe it would have hurt them more. Like, that's not like a pivotal question to me. But listen, maybe that would have made all the difference in this fourth quarter. To me, it's just that's what Joe is balancing. And I do think he's a pretty defensive-minded coach. If you look at what the identity of this team has been so far this season, they've been an elite half-court defense, and he has come into camp saying that that's where they're way ahead, and I think that's where he wants to be. And so that's what it is. And maybe he'll look at the numbers in 2 weeks and say, listen, you know, we're going to have to live with it because teams, like you guys said, there are lots of players in the NBA that teams live with it, but you have to look at what is the offensive gap between the players that you're discussing. And it's not just Pritchard. I mean, there's Pritchard minutes, there's some Derek minutes. It's probably mostly Pritchard, but you have to look at what is the offensive gap? How much more efficient, how much better has Anfernee been than Payton on the offensive end? What's the defensive gap been? Because again, like people here are saying, it's not like Payton Pritchard is the best defender in the world, and just balance that. And I'm sure that's an ongoing conversation that they're having all the time. But I don't want the story to be like that is the story of this game, because I just don't think that it was, and I don't think that it's been this like massive question this season the way that it's been framed. And I get that that's just going to be the nature of like where we go with things. It's just that's not what I'm thinking about when I'm watching these games.
I think it's unquestionably a major storyline of this season, because again, you're just looking at a team that doesn't have a lot of high-end talent, and he brings a level like I said, he brings an elite skill set that other people don't possess. So
what would you want to see, John?
The onus is on Joe to figure it out. There's plenty of people that figure out ways to hide defensive liabilities out there, so you can tap into the goodness for it. It's not that it's pretty normal throughout the league. So to me, it's less about, okay, I'm not like the bench Pritchard. If you want my honest opinion, I think Simons is probably a 10 to 15% better overall offensive player, maybe slightly more, and Pritchard is probably a 10 to 15% better defensive player. Like it's pretty close to a wash.
That's what I'm saying. There should be some interchangeability there. It's close.
It's so close. It's not the people who are like, it's definitely this guy and it's definitely that guy. It is ridiculously close. They both do things well. It's not even that. You're just in a weird spot because again, I keep bringing up the Brogdon Smart White thing. It's less about that. You got three guards, but you got problems elsewhere, and you can't play 3-guard lineups when you have no front court. It's complicated. So there's not an easy solution for it. I'm saying if we're riding hot hands, tonight was a failure in that regard. That's all there. But when they talk about him, Joe talks about him as if he's not where I want him to be.
Like he's not getting it.
There's more dissatisfaction in just the way that he's spoken about that I'm wondering, what is it that isn't clicking for him, for Joe, from them behind the scenes? That's what I mean about the Simons issue, not like he should be playing and not this guy. I'm not saying that at all.
I think there's three factors.
Joe's hemming and hawing a little bit about it. And yeah, well, I want him to be more this. I want him to, and tonight I thought he was, and this and that. He's obviously not answering the bell fully. And maybe as Noah put it earlier, it's as simple as he's just not a good defender.
I think it's directly comparable to the Schroeder situation. Like he does things and his skill set is built around a game that they're not interested in going down that road. You know what I mean? Because I keep seeing in the chat, like, oh, he led.
And you're going to run him out of town like you did Schroeder.
Well, that's what I was just going to get to here is he's probably not a long-term part of the franchise's plans here. So you are going to prioritize to some degree the guys who are here. Not that that's guiding Joe's coaching philosophy here, but that organizational level is, I mean, organizationally, White's going to be here. Pritchard's probably going to be here long-term. I mean, is there any chance Simons is on the team next year?
I don't know. You seem more bullish about it than I do. I don't even think he's going to be on the team necessarily by the trade deadline. So again, if you want to look at it that way, I'm not spending my time on this guy, and I'm looking to dish him anyway, which I think they were in the preseason. Then screw it, I don't care. But we can get off this convo because we've done it a lot. Noah, what else did you think was worth talking about from tonight's game?
I think the first half, honestly, was like a massive shooting slump across all fronts, airballing layups, mid-range shots, corner threes. Like it was not, they settled for threes and just missed stuff. It was like lid on the basket, guys really struggling on that front. And I was honestly impressed that they were even within 10 and because it felt like they had no business being in that game. They were shooting like 27% from the field at one point. The thing that's been encouraging is I thought this whole season was going to be about rebounding, which was, from a viewer standpoint, incredibly boring to see a team just lose night after night because they can't get a rebound. So it's been fun to see that go away as a massive problem. I mean, obviously the last play of the game is symbolic of that early season issue, but they out-rebounded the 76ers in this game, and overall it's just been trending upwards. So that's just something that I've had my eye on. I think on the flip side, Jack asked Joe about this post-game, but their whole MO has been forcing turnovers, and that's what made them so successful the other night against the Magic. And they weren't able to do that to the same extent tonight. And part of that is they have they have some elite guards, and Tyrese Maxey's an elite player. And I continue to think like every time the Celtics play him, he's just a killer. But they were not able to force the turnovers that they just have been able to for many games this season. And I think that was one of the things that ultimately hurt them in this one. And then just down the stretch, it's just like there's just a lot of mistakes right now. And I tried to get at this with some of the players, my questions. I don't think I really got anywhere with it, but I don't know how much of it is just like it's basketball and mistakes happen, and how much of it is you have Jordan Walsh and Amias Queta, two guys that 2 years ago I was covering them in the main Celtics. Like that's the reality, right? Like these guys was very uncertain if they were ever even going to play in the NBA, and now here they are closing out games. Like you have to imagine that that's making crunch time execution even more difficult. And honestly, tonight wasn't on those guys, but
I know. I was just gonna say, like, that's the
Yeah.
weird part tonight is it was the veterans who fell short.
for sure, yeah. But I think like that's what you're seeing. I mean, this team is in every single game, and I know their record's not good, right? What are they, 5-7 now? But they're battling to the end in every single game. Like they're right there. So from a roster construction standpoint, like I think they have enough to compete. I don't know if people want to see them compete or not. I mean, honestly, for a lot of people here, this might be the best outcome, where they're competing in every game and they're showing some signs of development and they're losing. And that'll be good for their lottery odds and all that. But to me, like they're kind of like what I thought they would be. They're just not closing out games really at all. They've had like 2 crunch time wins all season long, and feels like every night they're dropping games.